Welcome to duckponics. Here are the stars of the show. We're keeping them in because nothing's growing outside. It's really wet and the snow just melted. We let them out for a while yesterday, but they'll just trample the ground into mud if we let them out, so need to keep them locked up. They have a dry place and they have a wet place. So just wanted to show you something about the beds. We had a terrible tragedy here. Within 10 days we lost both of the pets that we had had for about, one for 15 and one for almost 20 years. A cat and a dog, and we have literally been crying for days. We just didn't realize how big of an impact it was living with somebody for that long, and how intertwined they become with your thoughts and your feelings and everything you do. So we're running the pumps 12 hours a day, and the surprising result of that is we found that our water cleared up immensely almost immediately. So that means that somewhere a lot of the stuff is settling. So it's probably settling in both the tanks and the beds, which means that we'll have a rich harvest at some point when it becomes worthwhile and it becomes easy enough to get that out. If things get too thick, which they shouldn't with these solid lift-off center systems, is that this is called SLO. Not sure if I got the words of that right, but the water comes in the tank at the top, and the only way you can get out is by going down through a tube that's all the way at the bottom, where the water's swirling around and swirling everything towards the center, and then it lifts it off from the bottom and into the tanks. And these are basically the primary filtration beds and a surprising source of greens during the winter. I don't know if you remember seeing this chard when it was just like a tiny little seedling. But these things were just buried in this chickweed, which I've just harvested twice now. At least as much as you saw just in the pond. These things are just exploding with growth even in the wintertime. So for some reason these beds, so these two beds got started before these two beds. And apparently start date, if you don't have any kind of heat, is really important. Because these ones that got started when it was a little warmer and got a pretty good leg up. I mean, the chickweed seeds pretty early, but these are already starting to seed as relatively small plants. Once they get to that stage, they just explode in growth. You can kind of see that here too. Chickweed is really well loved by the ducks, and everything I've read about it says it's very nutritious. We're growing different kinds of grasses here, and I think we're going to leave these two back here in the corner to go to seed because we really like this. Although I'm seeing some pests here. Looks like it needs a good wash. Oh, the ducks are going after the greens. They couldn't restrain themselves. That means that they'll probably eat some of the cereal-based crumble that they're getting. That is a starter crumble with added oyster shell. As you may have heard earlier, we had a complete die-off of all of our tilapia. They do not live below water temperature 52. And because of the heart attack, I just wasn't able to get all the insulation and other things we could get going around these tanks to make it worthwhile to heat them. Since a little insulation would make that heating budget go out much farther. Getting ready to put in the floating raft beds. These are going to go all the way out to that last, the first post in. Going to be about 4 feet wide. We want to accommodate as much surface area as we can with this board. That will mean that we're kind of crowding the corner of this door, which is not very desirable. But I need to get these raft beds up because, give me just a second. Because we are doing this. So some of these seeds are germinating faster than others, and basically here's a list of the names of what's growing in here. A lot of these seeds are from wild garden seeds and gourmet garden seeds. So, all right. Anyway, that's duckponics out.